Hey, Karen.
How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited for this. My brother across the pond.
Oh goodness, yes, yes, it's great, and I'm going to interview Derek later on as well. So it's going to be good to talk to him about his film stuff. But it's going to be great
Oh, cool. Okay.
talking to you. Yes, I actually thought you were out in LA. So when he set up the time, I thought, oh, that would be so late. Then he clarified that you're out in the East Coast.
Oh, right. No, yeah. We moved what about I don't know, 7 years? 6 years ago. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Everybody's in Atlanta, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It
I
wasn't
s-
that
yeah, I said I was going to embrace it.
embrace it.
Embrace it to the fullest, right? The culture is definitely in Atlanta.
Well, it's a pity you guys don't have Hezekiah. Is it Hezekiah Walker? Is that is a Herschel Walker? Is that him?
Oh, you're talking about the mayor,
Was it
the
the
guy.
Senate?
I mean, the senator. Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't. Nope.
Oh, what a pity! What a pity!
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know when you're ready.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, okay. Well, Karen, it is a great honor to be able to speak with you. I've followed your career. When I actually, I'm here in England. I was born and raised here, but I went to high school in Nigeria, and it's
Wow.
amazing how during the 80s, how big you were in Nigeria. So I know you go to South Africa quite a bit, but you were global, and I think sometimes when I speak to a lot of my guests, they don't recognize or realize that they transcended more than America and Europe, but they actually came to Nigeria and the rest of the world. So, it's going to be an honor just listening and hearing your journey and everything. Um,
Yes. And I haven't been to Nigeria yet. So I'm hoping this year we'll be doing, a full tour of Africa. Just been, South Africa, like we talked about, and yes, and Uganda. So
okay.
yeah, we're going to be venturing out, and we'll talk about my beloved South Africa.
Yes, yes, we will. But we have an international audience and people all over the world tune in, and I always start off asking where you were born and raised.
Born and raised in South Central, but
Wow.
now they say don't call it South Central, but Los Angeles. And yeah, very it's a place. I wouldn't say it's. I lived in Inglewood when I graduated from high school with my dad, but the other we used to call it South Central. And yeah, just a meager beginnings, humble beginnings, and beautiful parents, family. I'm the baby of the family, and I was a whippersnapper.
Oh, what's a whippersnapper? This.
Whippersnapper is a one that is just destined, to do something. Like you
Okay.
can't hold her down. She's a whip. She's going. She's moving. I
Okay.
keep forgetting. You're like, what's a whippersnapper?
Yeah, I have to clarify for the international audience.
Oh yeah, that's that southern. My parents are from the south, so from Texas.
Oh, now a lot of us would hear about South Central LA and it got more LA got pronounced more sort of advertised when sort of gangster rap came out. So you say Inglewood. Oh, initially then we think about oh goodness
NWA.
yeah
Don't ask me,
well
but yeah,
yeah Mac 10.
yeah. I know, not you doing all the wrong ones.
Mac 10 is Inglewood.
What's my name? Yeah, Mac 10 is from Inglewood.
Yeah. So then Snoop from LA, from Long Beach, and Dre's from Compton. So that's how, yeah. But
Yeah.
how
So
was growing up?
yeah, I actually grew up in but I went to school in Westchester. So I went out of my school district. I
Okay.
lied and used someone's address so I can get into
Wow.
a better school district. And that is so crazy because like I can't believe I got away with it. So, but yeah, I did. And so it was amazing growing up in Los Angeles because it was the city of dreams. And you had the sunshine every day. You had, you know, just like I said, people were there, they were dreamers and they wanted to be somebody. And the sun was there to make us all feel good and happy and like we could achieve it. And the beach and it was definitely a beautiful experience growing up in Los Angeles and just being around, having access to Hollywood and, you know, to pageants. And it's just how, you know, acting and singing and dancing. And so I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything. It was amazing.
At that young age, I mean, and I do wonder the disparity about those who grew up in LA and for others who come into LA to chase the dream. And then those of you who grew up in, say, South Central or on stuff, could you talk about seeing the dream? But I don't know if that was very common with others who grew up in, say, South Central and others. Could they see Hollywood as accessible the same way you seem to talk about it?
Yes, because, you know, you had, especially if you, with me being a, you know, in my teenage years doing pageants and, you know, we'd have to go on auditions and there was what was that called? It was a paper. It was called Drama Log, I believe. And, you know, there would be, you know, where you can audition and casting call there. So, you know, that was pretty much where we looked to audition for, you know, things outside of South Central. And there would be sometimes little fake pop-ups that, you know, they would try to come there to take your money, right? Get into Hollywood, you know, come to Inglewood. You know, the people all are wrapped around and, you know, they would just try to charge you for pictures or lessons. But yeah, I just, it's just the spiritual, the aspect of just, like I said, just LA being such a place that the energy of the California can just carry you, because like I said, we're, you know, it's either you're going to go, like I said, in Atlanta, I mean, it's in Atlanta, it's a different culture, it's a different energy. So I think every city, and even, you know, London, of course, you guys have that same rock and roll thing there. It's like, you're just, even like you know, you're walking down King's Road and, you know, you just see these ageless people that are just like rock and roll, you know, forever, you know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, it's such a music place. So that's what I'm talking about, that energy.
Yeah. I lived in Redondo Beach for about 2.5 years, and
oh, Redondo, okay, yeah,
and Homos and stuff. But what about the singing part? Because being the youngest in the family, how did you pick that up?
oh my God, I'm such a ham. You gotta say, we'd be around, you know, the family, we'd have Thanksgiving, and I'm 4 years old, and of course, you know, if you're most Black families, after you're finished eating, you know, you're put on the TV, and in between the TV shows, it's like, hey, you know, listen to me sing this song, you know. I'm Diana Ross, I'm Donna Summers, you know, and they had to listen to me, you know what I mean? And then when I started doing this all the time, I was getting better and better, and I loved the attention. I love performing. The microphone was my mic, and it was just a great time. My sister, Angie, who was my older sister, she had a natural gift to sing, and my other sister was a choreographer and dancer. So, and then just I had older sisters and brothers, so they just always had great music in the house. You know what I'm saying? I wish it would have been more jazz. I'm like, why did you guys play Ella and you know, Sarah Vaughan? And because I could have really put some of that in my vocals now that I'm older, because I used to teach voice lessons too when I was younger, when I was before I got signed by Warner Brothers. But these influences, I used to think like, wow, I wish that we would have played that in the house. But it was definitely, that's how I started singing. And then church, of course.
Okay.
Singing in church. Mm-hmm.
But who were your main musical influences in those early days where you sort of honed your voice?
Oh, yeah. Main influence was definitely Diana Ross, because, you know, she's the boss. She's international. You know, she's beautiful. She's elegant. Donna Summer, because she was sexy. Her sound was amazing. She was, you know, just great vocal. So those two, and then male, of course, I like Michael Jackson. Who else? Stevie Wonder. Those were probably my strongest as a kid. And then Stephanie Mills and Gladys Knight and Phyllis Hyman. I went through that phase. And then Al Jarreau. So there was different phases. And then, you know, Luther. There was just Cheryl Lynn, you know, Evelyn Champagne King, Karen Carpenter. So, you know, and that was the beauty of that time. They were so different from one another, those voices. And that's what I missed, because you had such a variety. Dionne Warwick, oh my God. How can I not say Dionne and Aretha? Yeah, so it was a buffet of, you know, pick and choose and be influenced by, you know, Roberta Flack. So yeah, we had so much, right? We had it was a smorgasbord of amazing artists. Mm-hmm.
And I guess at that time there was more emphasis on the voice and less on the image.
Right at first, yeah. But then when it, you know, then I started to, when I was a teenager, you know, Prince and Madonna, just because of, you know, and Janet, of course, you know, because of the MTV, the pop, definitely was influenced by Michael and that, just the video artist, which I kind of pride myself on, because being a dancer and an entertainer, I was attracted to, you know, a lot of those artists. And so probably Prince and Michael being my favorite.
So it's interesting you mentioned dancing, because then did you leave the Hollywood side to then say, let me focus on the music, or what was the shift?
Oh no, I went to a school like, do you remember the movie Fame at all, where they had a school?
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
Right. So I went to, I was so fortunate to have a program in the summer and all, and that we went to for underprivileged kids, that we can learn acting, singing, dancing, tap, what was it? And I think some musical instruments. And we would put on, it was called the Ebony Showcase Theater. And every year we would put on an annual show. So you kind of had to be, know how to do it all. And some very amazing, talented people came out of the Ebony Showcase Theater. That so like I said, I wasn't limber enough to dance. And then I wanted to be, I understood it, but I wasn't as limber as my sister and my friend. So that was a challenge for me, as well as when I'm going to go back a little bit. I used to be a track star. So I could have gone and gotten a scholarship. Yeah, I used to be very fast. I would run the 100-yard dash and the relay and the 220. And so I had record-breaking times. Yeah. So I was a track star too. But I felt like I had to choose. So because it was such a commitment to either one. So I chose the entertainment.
Oh, why?
Because I kept getting cramps in my leg.
Okay.
There was times when I had the race run, and it was like for like a trophy for a championship, and I would get a cramp right at the last, right. And I just was like, what is going on? And I don't know why. So maybe that was just a sign, like, don't go that way. But, and so I said, I just can't keep doing that. It was heartbreaking because I would have the race and lose it because of the cramp. Yeah. So all that work, you know what I mean? So, and I couldn't figure out why I was doing that. But so that's what happened. You're taking me back, because nobody ever asked me that question. Like, oh yeah, it was the cramps.
Yes, correct. But what about the family? The parents, though? Did they try and steer you in either way? Or?
Oh man, my parents, my mom was such an incredible superwoman. because she just encouraged me so much to make me feel like I could do anything. And I love her for that, because whenever I said, I want to do this, I'm going to be in this pageant and I'm going to win next year and I'm going to do this and she never said, She was like, that's right, baby, you can do it. Her energy and her belief in me was so strong, and I didn't want to let her down. And at that time, my parents had gotten divorced, and I really, Mom, I'm going to buy you a home, and all these things I was able to do. And I'm so grateful. My dad was amazing. He was the opposite. He would challenge me, because I had a girlfriend who, her name was Kim, and incredible voice. At 14, I learned so much from her. Her parents, her dad had her in the studio. She sounded like Phyllis Hyman, beautiful voice, songwriter, could write. And so she was my best friend. So I would just go, I would learn so much from her at 14, seeing her in the studio writing. And she was supposed to be getting a deal with Motown, but it never happened. And I don't know why I brought that up, but I guess talking about just being around talented people, and I don't know where I was going with that, but she was a big part of my childhood. So shout out to Kim, if you're listening. She really influenced me a lot as a writer too.
Yeah, and in what way? Because when I spoke with Darryl Simmons, he says the same thing about Kenny, how in high school, seeing how talented Kenny was, that he just gleaned to that, so it just sort of pulled him. So how did Kim sort of help you in that?
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. That was the connection. What I was trying to say was that my dad would say to me, I like Kim's voice. I like Kim's doing. So that's how my dad would challenge me to be better. So my mother was the opposite. And I'm glad, because I didn't need two parents that were, you had to have the polar opposite, right?
Yeah.
Good in the yin and the yang. So, but yeah, having, like I said, a friend like that was just so gifted. If you're smart enough and not, a hater, you'll just appreciate it and learn. So I just sat there and I really just soaked it all up. And even, that being able to listen and learn and just be respectful of the gift took me a long way, because I knew what it looked like. I knew how to get to it. And I knew that I was just grateful to be in that place. You know what I mean? To have her dad investing in her at a young age, and for me to be around her, seeing her do all of this. So once I can see it, then I can do it. And that was very important. And then I was like, okay, that's how you do it. So I learned so much. And then after that, I wound up getting in a group, Switch, with the group Switch, Bobby DeBarge and.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So they were signed to Motown, and they discovered a group I was in called Legacy, and I was the last person to come in. I was one of the lead singers, and they took us under their tutelage of training too. So like I said, I was just prepared by such great talent, because Switch and their harmonies, and they would have us singing, all kinds of music, jazz and jazz fusion, and it's funny how that kind of helped me when I got with Jeff Lorber, because I didn't really consider myself a jazz artist, but obviously something was in there that I was able to sing with one of the greats, but that was definitely my start, was being in that group, and then learning from Switch as well, how to write songs, and being in the studio, seeing them sing. They'll never, you've heard of, the Switch catalog, right?
Yeah. How was Bob? Did Bobby? Did he? Because I know when I interviewed Elle, he was telling me how Bobby sort of got him out of his comfort zone. But how did he get any advice from Bobby?
Right. Well, Jody, the drummer, was the one who signed us in our group. But
okay.
I wouldn't say we were just able to go to the studio and see them recording the vocals. So I didn't really work with Bobby up close or personally, but I was able to see how they wrote and how they recorded. And it was, the harmonies and just pure voices. It was something. It was definitely a blessing.
I guess that's one thing most people might not be aware of, that you are a songwriter as well as a singer. And so how are you learning the craft of songwriting before your Warner Brothers debut?
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the songwriters that was he sang a lot like Elle, and he worked. His name was Michael Norfleet, and he's a brilliant guy, keyboard player. So I started writing songs, and as with Legacy, we wrote a lot of songs. So I understood there was another female in the group who was an amazing songwriter and vocalist too. So just really building it from, melodic structures and subject matters, and just real simplicity. And that's what you'll hear a lot in that switch sound. It's just the melodic, the melody is just so memorable, and the way it follows the keyboards. So I started, learning from there. And then my first song I wrote was for Stephanie Mills.
Wow.
Yes. And so she was, like I said, an idol, because I performed her songs from The Wiz when I was in high school. And it was a pretty big production. And yeah, so to land, so this was my first song that I had landed, it was called Automatic Passion. And it was written with two amazing writers, Robert Brookins. I don't know if you know who, he used to be on MCA. He wrote, recorded with Stephanie Mills too, and Tony Haynes. So they're two prolific writers. And so that was my first penmanship of a song.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess for us who don't write songs, how does it work? Do you have the melody in your head, and then and you're writing the lyrics to it, or does somebody start and you just said, "Oh, well, can we add something here?" Or how does it?
Yeah, for me, it's all different. I'm just thinking about the first song I wrote. I must be me. Da, 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 da. It was like, it kind of had that kind of switch sound, now that I think about it. But yeah, for me, I would have my melodies and have the verses and the chorus, or either one, and then I'd come to a keyboard player, and then they would build around my melody. So, I mean, there's different ways. And then, of course, when I wrote with Jimmy and Terry, it was the music first. With Jam would have the songs. And so it just depends. But I like when I write the melody, because I feel like I'm directing the song more the way I want it to go versus. But when you're doing up tempos, you want that groove to be there.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to make sure that track is humping before you put your melody on. You know what I'm saying? But, those are pretty much ways for me. But mainly I like to, and then a subject matter that's very strong. I learned that from, of course, Babyface and LA and Daryl. You know what I mean? That I was, just in training, Jeff Lorber. I just been around such great artists that I'm just so blessed to just be smart enough to shut up. And just really, and just to soak it in, because I was really around greats, really like the best, and I knew it, and it was just in class, just learning and watching and being available to sing backgrounds, because I was, I had a journey as a background singer, so that helped me. O'Brien and Don Cornelius, that was a big part of my training too, being on the road with O'Brien and singing backup. And so and then just being around these incredible musicians that played for O'Brien, that wound up playing for Prince and Sheila E. So I really, so I'm just thankful, because and it all comes out when I perform live. That's why that's the best. If you haven't ever seen me live, that's where you're going to really see all my gifts, because it all comes to, I love being on stage, and I love to perform, and that's where you're going to just get all the colors and the magic of me, because I really do have an out-of-body experience, and it's so fun for me. And playing with the band, and they never know what I'm going to do, because I like to be spontaneous. So I'm like, you guys better watch me, because I mean, break it down, boom. I don't know. It depends on how the audience gives me. I'm not, that's why, I mean, I'll do track shows. I know how to do them, but I definitely, like I said, that experience live is just incredible, especially if the audience is with you. It's like, oh my God, that high is incredible.
Well,
That's the best.
Well, I saw on your website, on your YouTube channel, you had you were out in South Africa singing Secret Rendezvous. That was 2019, and you had your two dancers. You were wearing green, and I was just blown away how they were responding, and I just felt wow, this is the benefit of a live band and a front of audience, because it just seemed like it took you to another level.
Oh yeah, and it's you're so right, and you know the business really has changed, because when I came out, I had a band. I never did track shows, so and then when I come back into it later, I'm like, what, track shows? What is this? So I had to learn it, you know, because I was like, well, how do you do it? And you know what I mean? But I finally figured out how to do it, and it's. I just made the tracks sound live. We did everything.
No, that was with a band. So the one I saw was with a band in South Africa.
Yes, that was with a band.
That was with a band.
Definitely. But you know, it's such a difference. So you have to just, like I said, the world is different. You know, the finances, they don't want to pay for bands all the time. So I realized that I wouldn't work, because I used to be like, when I first came back, you know, from being away from the industry, I thought I was going to just have my band, and it was like I kept turning down shows because they were track shows, and I realized like, you gotta start working, because the world has changed, you know what I mean? They're not hiring all these, you know, musicians, you know, they figured out a way to, so we just, like I said, I work with Derek DOA Allen, and great bass player, and you know, Chucky, and you know, Booker, and all these guys, they all work together, and we put together my show.
Oh, university, right?
Yeah, the guys from university. Exactly. You know, I saw that you had Chucky on there.
Well, I mean, we're still trying to work out getting him on. Chucky's reluctant.
So Chucky took my band. My guitar player, Eddie M on sax, DOA, Derek on
Derek, he did College Girl on the Bobby album. Okay, I know that.
Yeah. So you know, I always tell them, you know, I'm like, we gotta play together again. So I'm hoping to do something with them, you know, that'll be really exciting if Chucky will let me.
But going back to, because I think a lot of people, when they remember your breakthrough, they would say, yes, you did Facts of Life with Jeff
Lorber. Hey, yeah.
Having sort of a bubble hit. How did that feel? Because it's one thing to, you know, sing backgrounds going on and doing shows and stuff, but now you actually are getting charting with your voice. How did that experience feel?
Man, jeez. I'm just so thankful, because, you know, like I told you, I just, it had to happen. So it just shows you what your positive affirmations and the hard work, because I don't feel like I was just the greatest vocalist. I feel like my girlfriend's voice was better.
Yeah, you mentioned Kim.
You know, but, you know, I got the deal, you know. And Warner Brothers, you know, said if the song did well enough that they would sign me to my own contract, and it did. And you know, if you watch the Facts of Love video, I have people tell me, they were like, we knew you were destined to be a star, just because, I mean, you could not stop me. And it's kind of sad when I look at it. I'm like, man, boy, I didn't give a dang. If you don't put the mic in front of me on stage, if you was artist, because it's like, calm down, girl. But on stage, you know, with Jeff Lorber, it was, you know, I just had it, you know what I mean? And it felt great. And the band, and Dave Koz was the sax player. Dave was that way too. Still in the show. Dave was, you know, in the audience. I mean, you could just see it. You knew that he was going to be, you know, just that. And that was that was such a great time. And these great musicians, like I said, Jeff Lorber, and starting with him, and you know, him featuring me on the album, and then touring. We'd opened up for Shaka and Al Jarreau, and just it was just an amazing amazing time, and so much learning from Jeff. And I didn't, you know, and then I was a little spoiled because I've always played around the best musicians. So I definitely was like, like I wasn't playing when it came to my musicians, because, you know, when you start like that, it's like, you gotta be bad, you know, and I still hold myself to that, you know, that honor of definitely making sure that the musicians I play with are on that level. So I'm just inspired, and I'm just it's been a ride. I'm thankful, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I think that's the one thing that you learn from hearing those who work in the jazz, is because the musicians, they take their musicianship very seriously. They you know, and it's less about putting on it's about putting on a full show, and it's not relying on being in this on a studio production track.
Right.
So the audience will feel the energy when you're live. So there's no one that hasn't seen your performance at the Apollo of Superwoman and Secret Runner, but that won't say, "Wow, look at the energy." You know, she's wearing high heels, little small dress, but she's just taking Tina Turner to task. You know, so you can see
there you go. Somebody knows here. That's right. That's my girl. I forgot to say Tina. How dare me? Kill me for not giving my girl her roses. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was Tina and Diana.
Okay.
That was because you got the soft and feminine. I'll go there, but then it was the rough.
Yeah,
so I'll even tell them that. Sometimes I like it sweet, and sometimes I like it rough, like Tina. Right. That's right. There you go.
But then, so Benny, I mean, most of us would have heard Benny Medina, Signs I'll Be Sure, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, manager of J-Lo now, but he was head of Black music at Warner Brothers. Did they sign you directly to Warner Brothers, or was it through some production deals through?
Praise God. No, I had an amazing deal. No, it was directly through Warner Brothers.
Wow.
And yeah.
And that's rare for Black artists, so it's not, you know.
Oh, and Warner Brothers was such a premier boutique label. Yeah. So it was definitely great deal. And I was with Left Bank Management at the time, because they was the ones who managed they managed Jeff Lorber. So they had managed me at the time before I got with the incredible Larkin Arnold after that. Mm-hmm.
So those early days, I mean, did the learning of the musicianship and the writing prepare you for the business side of the industry at the same time? Do you get to sort of learn what to do?
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit, because when you talk about the business and learning, very blessed to have Sturkin and Rogers. Evan Rogers really groomed me. He was the person who wrote the Facts of Love for Jeff Lorber. And I'm going to say Evan Rogers because he's the one who's discovered Rihanna. And so shout out to Evan Rogers. So yeah, so he taught me. He was an amazing, incredible singer, writer, producer. Taught me how to sing, background, got me my publishing deal at Warner Brothers. And I just learned so much from the business side. Evan was Italian, but you would have thought he was a brother. He kind of reminded you of Prince. He was kind of like that. Not like a, you know, small frame. And he was like Italian, but he dated Black girls, you know, I mean, married to a Black girl. So yeah, so I really learned a lot from the business from him, from, you know, Carol Ware. I think she was at MCA. So yeah, it was, I loved Los Angeles at the time, because it just seemed like, I don't know, for me, I just had such a magic, when I think about it, it was happening very fast. I sang on Shanice's, as a background singer, Shanice's Can You Dance, her first single with Brian, what was his name? Shanice's first producer. He was hot at the time.
Not Nadia. Okay.
No, I can't remember. But anyway, started there. and knew John McClane and worked with the Commodores. So I had a lot of I had a lot of mentors to teaching me. And like I said, Robert Brooke. And so I just I'm very fortunate when I look back on it. Just, I didn't have one of those, I was a very good girl in the industry, didn't have to do anything crazy to get a deal. You know what I mean? I was very blessed the way I was walked in. Don Cornelius, like I said, really helping me, mentoring me also, because I was going to sign with him, but I didn't. And but he would take care of me and send me checks from time to time and tell me to come up and train and dance. And so he wound up signing Rosie Gaines. And so just some of the giants, in the business that really groomed me. And so when, and especially when I got with Jimmy and Terry, that's where the grooming business came, because Ron Sweeney and just being around Clarence Avon and really just seeing how they had so much integrity and I remember Warner Brothers told me they were what was Steve's name? Steve Ivory? Steve Ivory used to be, I think, the Black Beat magazine. I remember him saying, like, Warner Brothers was kind of complaining, saying she went from, an artist to a CEO. She looks like a CEO. I started dressing different, and they don't want you to be too smart.
Yeah, that's what I'm
hearing now. So and then just understanding, what kind of deals to do and what kind of deals to not do. And the only thing, like I said, I just wish I would have just been a little bit more thankful and appreciative of, when you're so young, of just all these greats. You get what I'm saying? Like Ellen Bass and Daryl and Jimmy and Terry and Clarence and Don Cornelius. I just didn't, when you start out with great, sometimes you kind of take it for granted. So that would be the thing I wish I could just do over. I could just really needed somebody to tell me, do you know you're living like a 1% dream? Like, what, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
but when you get everything, when you first come out and, you're gold and then you're platinum and then what do you know? Your standards are so high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you could just think, oh, it's just supposed to happen. And then you realize, no, it ain't.
Yeah. Well, being local, did it seem to make a difference for you, being that this was your city,
Yeah, it made it made a big difference, because I mean, for me, I was available. Yeah, I was there. You know what I mean? I understood the lay of the land. I knew how to maneuver. I respected others' gifts. And I just, I guess I was, I don't know, I would just say people liked me. So that was a big part of, knowing your place and just being appreciative of it. So, and just, even I would go to the studio with Ella and Face and them, and they'd be doing, Johnny Gill or whoever. I just come up there. I just want to sit and learn, and then, you want to get on the background? Yes, what I mean? And then they started calling me for everything, for the sound, but just being available and wanting to learn. But that's something that's got to be in you, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I really knew that they were incredible. I just knew they were gifted, and I knew, I was like, wow. So when they just kept on writing number ones and going on to 100 songs, it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I was just thankful to be at the start of it,
But how did you, because if you've come from this sort of jazz background and you're writing these type of stuff, even for Steph Mills, whose decision was it, the direction of your debut album?
Oh, that's a good question. That's Mr. Benny Medina.
Okay.
That's definitely Benny. And I'm so thankful. He says, I want you to, he sent me to go to Sacramento to see if I liked working with Jay King, because Jay King was the dude at Warner Brothers, right? He was the 30
Club
right?
Nouveau. He's one of my favorite guests.
And he signed Shantae, and he had his own label with Michael Cooper. So I went there, and then I worked again with Evan and Carl. and the songs were cool, you know what I mean? But he said, I want you to go check out this, they got the Whispers, this duo, and I think you guys would be a good fit. So Evan and I went to meet with LA and Face, and it was dope because they like me because they like my music from Facts of Love, and they like my sound. And so we started out doing like, I think 4 songs, and then we kept doing more, 5, and I think it wound up being 5 or 6 songs that we did together, and it was fun. It was a great time, before they were, who they were, and we had something to prove, Yeah. We had something to prove. They were trying to, be jamming Lewis, and I was, I'm gonna be Janet or whoever. Of course, we never thought we were gonna be them, but we wanted to be on that level because they were incredible, and it was a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And I worked mostly with LA doing the vocals.
Okay, that's
that time. Yeah, because they had their ones that probably had more, LA would be the one kicking my butt in the studio.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe you, what I mean? But it was a great time, so much fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was I was so proud of them, and love what they did with the Whispers and with Bobby. And I was so fortunate because everybody wanted to work with them, and now that I look back on it, I was just like, wow, for me to even have Face write the song Superwoman for me, that's amazing, because I was young.
Yeah, around 22 or something.
Yeah, like really, what did I know? That wasn't my story, but I pulled from my mother, when I sang that song. I thought of her being a single parent, at a certain age, and just her story, and that was the connection when I sang the song She Was My Substitution. But now when I look back, I was like, wow, it really did become part of my destiny and who I am, So it's like some songs are just for people, like they find you.
Yeah.
You know I mean, because now I'm every bit of a superwoman. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, like how did they know? And then just the whole thing of me being for women, I've always been just in awe of women. You hear me talking about my girlfriend Kim and any women. I just, I'm not a jealous person. I really am just in awe. I think women are incredible, the things they accomplish, going back to school, having babies, having careers, and you know what I mean? I just I appreciate the beauty that a woman has in her. So maybe they saw all of those things. I don't know, but I'm just grateful that they saw it, and and it was my song.
Yeah, when Superwoman came out, and by the time I was in Nigeria, it always reminds me of food, breakfast and the food.
Oh, I know.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But we got it on Casey Keller's top 10. So that show used to show in Nigeria, and just watching the video. As I said, I don't think you guys realize, your songs when it come across to West Africa back in the 80s and stuff. But it was such a
No, I get it because it felt that way to me too. Seeing I get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was such a the way you're telling a story through song was quite unique for us, for my generation. Like, wow, you can actually because normally we listen to a song and we're dancing along and you don't necessarily know what you're singing.
Right.
But with that song, you were like, wow, this is she feels like she's upset and the husband's not really paying attention. It's like, whoa, this is deep. We don't. You look like your parents and thinking, is this happening here?
And then for them to write it, from a male, because people think I wrote that song. I'm like, I wish.
Yeah, I mean, what did your mom think when she heard Superwoman for the first time?
Oh, wow. Man, she just thought it was beautiful. I mean, it kind of reminded her of what's the name of the girl? What are they? One last spell to answer. You know how that song told a story, The Fifth Dimensions. She said that it told a story, you know, and she loved it. I mean, it was, I remember her crying. Like it was, I had the family listen to it. And it's so funny because I guess I was so young. I didn't know, you know what I mean? I didn't know the impact that that song would have. Maybe I was a little young to really understand that the women would feel like they were heard and liberated and all that. You know what I mean? Maybe I was just a little too young to quite understand that I would have a whole, even today, you know, women that are just like, this song changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, I was in this relationship and this hearing your song got me through it, and I was in a dark place. I mean, all this, I'm like, wow. Yeah, so she was definitely proud. My whole family, my whole street. I think I had a even little listening party with the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The you know, most of the people, most of the community to have their favorite soundtrack is Wait to Exhale. One of their
Mm-hmm.
favorite albums is Mary's My Life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things about that connects those two albums, but also with Superwoman, is the story from a woman's perspective, especially a Black woman who seemed to carry the community and have to go through so much and have to be strong despite all the setbacks. And there's no time to just say, to run away.
Exactly. Gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's in you to do it. You don't know. That's the beautiful part about a woman. It's like you don't even think about running away. You can't. It's just and that song is just gave them the push to do that and to feel like, well, this is what I'm trying to say to you. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say I'm a feminist, to say I don't want a man. I'm just saying don't take me for granted. I'm only human. See me. You know what I mean? And that's really what the men will tell me too. They like, she played the song, and even if they're talking about their mother, they'll say like, it got my mother through a lot of, they'll have an affinity for me because of that song, because they were like, you helped my mom. She was in a dark place. She would play, every Saturday I'm hearing her singing, this song is on while she's cleaning, and it's changing her atmosphere and her mood. And so they just say, I want to thank you. So these are some of the stories that, even men will tell me, how, it really, the song affected them. So it's the same thing for me, because I remember hearing Roberta Flack, our house got broken into, and that song, when I hear the first time ever I saw your face, no, it was killing me softly. No, it was killing. Yeah, when I hear that, it's just like, I remember this whole thing about when the house got broken in. It's a bad memory, but the song, I don't attach it to the bad memory, but I just remember Roberta Flack and that storytelling of that song. So music is so powerful, man. That's the beautiful part about music, and that's what I think a lot of today's artists, they may be missing, because everything's happening a little too fast.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they're singing our music. Like, I want that. I want a song like that, and that's how we felt about, Dionne Warwick. Oh my God, the song, Hell Baccarat, and those songs were just, Aretha, you know what I mean? Natalie Cole. Come on, Natalie Cole. So much great music.
I mean, we can't forget the fact that you came out with some upbeat tempos like The Way You Love Me.
Oh yeah.
And what was when you finished the Karyn White album, what was your preference? Did you love the upbeat ones more so, like The Way You Love Me and Secret Rendezvous?
I loved it all, because we did a lot of I love up tempos. I'm a funky girl, really. I mean, I love ballads, but I'm a wild girl. Like, I'm gonna wanna, don't mess with me, bum 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 bum. For it the very first time. So in the Secret Rendezvous, it won't stop, it don't stop. a non-stop secret rendezvous. So all of that, because it's personality and it's, you get out there and make them rock. You want to dance them and romance them. But my favorite, probably would be some of the up tempos. Because I just remember us going to a club. LA is like, okay, let's go. We got to go to the club and make sure we have our mixes right.
Wow.
And I remember going we went and played Secret Rendezvous, and it was amazing. I remember it was at Club Paradise 21 on a Thursday night, and we went to check these mixes, and they were hot. So we went back to the studio and was like, we're done with this one. Yeah. So and I love James Brown. I keep forgetting. This is what's in me. And the Tina, James, Prince, Michael, that just comes out. So I need that James Brown, that hey, I want to make you dance. And that's the fun part. So when people haven't seen me, they kind of forget that part. They're like, oh, because everybody remembers Superwoman.
Yeah.
So when they see me, they're like, oh my God. I'm like, but Brown does not forget, because I toured with Bobby for 2 years and I opened for him. And that was the hottest tour of 1989. And, as they call us, I was the Queen of New Jack and he was the King. And, we had Levert in the middle, and that was some great times. So I'm hoping that we can repeat that, Bobby and I. We're actually looking into that. I got some people looking into me and Bobby doing something, hopefully getting back together and doing some kind of tour.
Yeah, well, hopefully he can keep up with you, because I've seen your shows, so you've got the energy more. So
I know. Yeah, he's got those iconic songs, right? And you definitely undeniable. You know what I'm saying? They just take you back. You can't deny it. And I love how he's singing too now. He's just really since he's not dancing as much, he's definitely being more aggressive with his vocals. I'm like,
one of the rumors that we got to Nigeria was that Don't Be Cruel was written for you, but you didn't like too much rap, so you just turned it down, and Bobby took it. That's what we got. So we like, wow, look at this Caribbean counselor. So that was.
Really? I don't think so. That's not true. I don't think did you ask Daryl that? I don't think that's true.
I asked him the same thing, and he says no, he didn't think so. But that was a rumor. I'm talking about, this is back in Nigeria. So you're thinking back in '88 in Nigeria.
No. So look, I would have been rapping. I rapped on Secret Rendezvous. Trust me. Look, you guys, I told you I think I'm James Brown and Prince at night. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And Tina. All wrapped up in one. Ain't nothing, she gonna give me run up now, damn it. Ain't nothing I ain't gonna try, That's the beauty part. That's the beautiful part too. But no, that wasn't written for me. That was but I did sing on Roni though, and that was fun, singing in the studio. And I also sang a lot on Johnny Gill's on Fair Weather Friend.
Wow.
I won't be no fair weather friend till the end. I had like this airy time and time again, and they love that airy quality on background vocals. So they were like, come on up here and give us some of that air. Okay. Those were the days. Yeah. No, it was so much fun though. It was a lot of fun.
So I did like Face on Secret Rendezvous when he does his little solo part.
Don't stop. Yeah. And then our duet. Now that was smoking hot. The Love Saw It. Yeah. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
That was the last song we recorded. And we just that song, I think we did like one takes both on that. We were both that was, we had our chemistry down. We knew what we wanted to do. And I heard, it was Shantae Moore and her ex-husband, Keith.
Kenny?
What's his name? Kenny. Yeah, she did a rendition. They did a rendition of that too.
You okay? Because I think Yeah, Darren said yeah, he did the remake art with them. That was
Oh, he
some.
did it? Oh, I didn't
He,
know that. Daryl
yeah,
did it. Oh, cool.
yeah. But now they said you were the first solo artist to have your first three singles to debut at #1 on the R&B
Female.
chart. Female. They adopted it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the success of your album was a surprise to Warner Brothers, and because that, I mean, you
Oh, it
had.
wasn't a surprise. They paid enough.
It was.
No, I'm being funny. No, trust me, we weren't paying Facing them what what we paid them on the third album. No, I think they were like 15,000 a song, which is a bargain.
Yeah.
But the Warner Brothers, I mean, I don't really see why they would be, because they put us together, and I think they believed in the magic of, they saw what Bobby did, and they got to see a little bit of what I did with Facts of Love. So, and then LA and Face, they were hot at the time, right? They were touching
three
everything.
#1s for debut as unknown
Yeah.
singers. That's not guaranteed success. I mean, and globally, as I mentioned,
And right, I had no clue. I was in the Guinness World Book of Records. I was like, what?
wow.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Like, Janet didn't do that. It was on her first debut. Whitney didn't do that. I was like, oh my God, okay, whatever. Look, I'm always trying to, like, just take your victory, girl. Yeah. So I'm excited. It's
What was your favorite song on the?
my favorite song.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. It changes.
No, but at the time though, and it can't be Superwoman. I doubt if you.
At the time, it probably was Secret Rendezvous, probably.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a Prince fan, and I really.
Yeah.
I just probably, because I was such, being such a Prince fan, I could hear, that type of alone in my room, thoughts of you in my head as I wait. Time is, that's like when doves cry, you know what I mean? Not that that's where they got it from, but that's where I feel like I was like, I was channeling Prince on that. Yeah, so probably that, and then Love Saw It. I love that singing in that lower tone. For me, Superwoman wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite because I guess relatability wise, I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That wasn't my story. It was, I sang about it, but it wasn't my story of feeling like that. I was too busy. But I definitely was the strong woman that would have told to do that. And they knew that about me.
The question, Love Slowed Down, that's not Steve Harvey of.
Yes. That probably was one of my favorites. Come to think about it.
Was it Steve Harvey? The Steve Harvey?
From London.
Oh no! So not Steve Harvey.
Not Steve Harvey.
The comedian.
The comedian. No, I thought you were talking about from London. No, there's a Steve Harvey that had a lot of hits. I can't remember who, but yes, white guy. So it was him, and then I had Daryl come in here and help me, with some words, and I like that because it has that Isley Brothers feel on it. So I'm a big Isley Brothers fan too. So I forgot. I keep forgetting all these groups, but yeah. So that had that slow down, so I can love you better. Isley, that Ronald Isley.
Yeah.
So just soul, and I'm very soulful. So I probably would say, look, I keep changing, right? Girl,
yeah. No, it's good. So I recently listened to Face and L.A. Reid on 2 podcasts when they would, because the biggest question for us is, you're doing Rituals of Love, and we're expecting, the magic of LA and Face to come back and, to reproduce the magic. And but you had it's no downgrade to go to have Jimmy and Terry, but it wasn't the, you know, they're two of the greatest duels, but there are two different types of, they brought something different from you. How much of a say did you have in the direction of your production?
Oh, well, the production, Ritual of Love. Okay, I met with Prince, and
Wow.
this was during the Batman phase. So originally, I came out to me. I met Terry and Jimmy when I did Michael Jeffries, who sang on the background. Who sang on Jeff Lorber's album as well. He was from Tower of Power. It was he and I were featured. So I sang on a duet that Jimmy and Jerry wrote for Michael Jeffries. So that's how I met Jam and Lewis. And so I went to go meet with Prince, and this was during the Batman phase.
Yeah.
And this is, I should have just did it anyway, because I didn't really hear the sound. He had played some tracks to me, but I didn't really hear that sound. So I said, Prince, I have an idea. So I sang them, feel the rhythm pound into the ritual of love. You know, so I sang that. He was like, that's a little deep. I'm like, deep? I'm like, you were the king of that. Feel the rhythm pounding. And I kind of was trying to do like a dove. I came up with the melody. Anyway, he said, you're in good hands. He's like, you know, you need to stick with Jimmy and Terry on this. And so I was like, okay, but I want to work with Prince. So anyway, so I, Jimmy and Terry, so they didn't want, so it really was the fact that Jam and Lewis inherited me because of LA and Face and their new label. So, you know, I was kind of they only could work with so many artists. And so they had Tony Braxton. So that's kind of where it was like, we're trying to make our own Karyn White, you know what I mean? So it was just it's called the luck of the draw, you know? It was like, darn it. Because those songs, you know, would have been, you know, probably a lot. I don't know. I'm not going to say what they would have been. Who knows? But yeah, so then we didn't work together on the second album. And then with Jimmy and Terry, I said I wanted to definitely do a romance me and a dance side. And that the songs like Tears of Joy, those are some of my favorites. A lot of the songs were pop because I got with George Michael's manager. So they kind of released, Warner Brothers took me in a very pop direction, which now I'm like, I wish we got the numbers, you know, having the #1 pop and this and that. But I just feel like there were so many gems on that album that were like I said, the song I wrote with Michael Powell from Anita Baker, Tears of Joy, Beside You. Those were two songs that I think would have been just classics for me, but they were more R&B. So I just kind of got caught up in my new manager seeing me like, you're the Black Madonna. So he kind of changed my direction. And I was with Larkin Arnold on my first album. He was my manager. So he's the one who was the president of Sony Records and Discover, you know, who signed Sade, Luther, Natalie. You know what I mean? He was R&B, you know, Michael, he had a hand in that. So I think where we went wrong is we just kind of left our base a little bit too much. Popped too fast. Yeah. And left that soul on the table that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? So even though I think the album was gold and the single, of course, was my biggest pop single, you know, went #1, which is not easy to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I had a pop record, but I just think my fans were a little, you know, that there was the chemistry that Jim and Terry and I had. So isn't that a crazy place to be in, though? Kind of like, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, so I feel so bad for Terry because I know he was like, we shouldn't be, you know, you really need to be working with them. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was just luck of the draw, you know? So.
Well, L.A. Reid cleared up.
Tell me.
He cleared it up. So he and Faith and Pebbles came to a music convention out in New Orleans,
Oh, really?
Benny and Medina had invited him to come, and he walks in with Pebbles,
Uh-huh.
and Benny says, "No, you need to get her out of here."
Right.
And he was like, "What?" He's like, "If she goes, I go." And so they left. And so I said, "We're not doing anything with you." And so
Oh, that's what happened.
that's what happened. And so LA said this recently. So he says that, years later they didn't talk, so they met up 10 years later. And Benny says, "Look, the reason why I was upset was I was bringing you to this function to meet all the heads of Warner Brothers to start giving you other artists to work with, but you brought Karyn's biggest her sort of rival from another label to a Warner's function, and that then smacks in the face of the execs. And I was trying to get you to tell you, look, you have to take her out." And they said, and so
Oh my
that's
God. So
yeah.
Alex
So
said that?
yes, he said it on Questlove. So that's why he clarified as to what that, because they didn't know for all this time why they weren't allowed to work with you. That they just, and Benny explained that he couldn't. That was because
I never knew that. Look,
yeah.
how many years ago is this? What is this? 30 years? Really?
Yeah, so it wasn't the first. Yeah, so they, yeah.
So look at you. Brought some healing over here. Why'd you let me sit up here and tell that story? You should have said, wait, cut, stop.
No, well, no, because I think most of us kept wondering why, and even Babyface wasn't really too sure, but it was only LA who recently met with Benny, and they hadn't spoken for 10, 20 years, and then they sort of said, yes, they hadn't spoken for all that time, and
wow, oh my God.
yeah, so it was because of Pebbles. Well, not because of Pebbles, but because he brought
the whole thing. But that's a weird thing. It's just like with me and Janet and Jimmy and Terry. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess I can understand the label feeling like that. It's a weird place to be in, huh? It's like, interesting. Wow. Okay. Look, thank you. Aw, thank you for bringing some healing. Those are my guys, and I really, I'm thankful. And so that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense now. Because I was trying, maybe it's because,
yeah. No, because separately, Babyface was really disappointed that he couldn't work with, and so Daryl. But then LA had to clarify. But he wouldn't have known until Benny first said, "Look, that's why he was upset with him coming to the convention
right.
with Pebbles and
wow. Okay.
and stuff."
Look at you. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, but then again, I think on the flip side, when you do work with Jimmy and Terry, you find love with Terry, and yeah, you have a daughter. And
we
stuff.
were in love before we didn't work together. Right, we were in love writing the music. So, like I said, there's the song. If you've never heard it, you got to check out on Spotify. Beside You. And it's so poetic. It's like you know who Karen Carpenter is, right?
Yes, of the Carpenters. Yes.
Close to You. It kind of reminds you of that. It's a beautiful song. And then the other one is called Tears of Joy. So to me, and there are people that, like I said, there's people that love me regardless. Of course, there are people that love romantic. And the funny part is that they had different sides of me. Like Jimmy and Terry like my softer, sensual side, and LA and Face like the grit of the emotion of when I got. So I was just like, you know what I mean? So it was a trip seeing how like there was different sides of the voice and the textures of each art, but I wrote more with Jimmy and Terry. And like I said, I learned a lot, and we have a beautiful daughter, Ashley, and we had our ritual of love, right? We had our ritual of love.
Oh, goodness. I mean, but then did you move to Minnesota?
Oh, yeah. I lived in Minnesota for like 5 or 6 years. I loved Minnesota. It was beautiful. you
Wow.
know.
I went to college in Milwaukee, in the Midwest. I don't know about beauty. It's the
Oh,
cold, the
yeah,
freezing.
yeah.
And you come from LA?
Oh, it's so beautiful. But see, when you're Jimmy and Terry and you live there, it's, they own the city. So we
Okay.
go from a heated garage to another heated garage, right? Everything was laid out for them. You got those guys in Prince, they could do no wrong. You know what I mean? So it was a beautiful time. And just, Prince would, he would put together, do his slant, what is it called? His jam sessions,
Okay.
come over 3 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? So it was, and just having the great part, all these artists working. And that's one thing, if I would change. I had access to everybody. You'd have Janet in one room, and, Luther, and
Wow.
Karen Wheeler, and just New Edition, Men Condition, so I just wish I would have took advantage of all these artists and wouldn't have been, so I don't know what I was. I just didn't see things like I should have properly. I should have been working with all these artists myself, writing songs for them.
Yeah, but most people would say what happened after your third album. You sort of
Oh,
disappeared.
yeah. And let me tell you about my third album, though, because my third album is my biggest album in South Africa. So that album is
Wow.
huge. When I go there, that's why it's like they so they have all three, but my third one was the biggest album.
Wow.
So it's amazing when I go there because I'm a big superstar there. But yeah, so then I stopped singing. Terry and I, we wind up getting a divorce, and I just didn't want to unravel and be in the business. I felt like I had just had Ashley. Ashley was 3, and when you look up and you see like what happened, I never wanted to be divorced, and like, how did all of this happen? So I said, let me just stop singing, stop doing everything, and let me spiritually work on who I am, and not run from it. Really just focus on that. And so I really did. And at the time my mom passed, and then I just I kind of I would say I just kind of lost my way, because I just felt like I had so much confidence and everything, but when you fail at something and if things don't work out, it was kind of my first time of kind of really being depressed, because all this was happening at the same time. My mother, who was my hero, was gone. And so I was just like, let me just raise my daughter. Maybe I had my time, I've done great. I didn't really realize the legacy that I had left on the table. And because if I would have, there's no way I would have walked away from it, because it was insane to do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to kind of be insane at that time to walk away. But I'm going to say the beautiful part about it is that when you go through tough times, you see what you're made out of. And it showed me that I'm a superwoman, because I really left the business, learned from my neighbor, who was a real estate investor. She would buy these beautiful homes. She would fix them up, flip them, and then move every 2 years and make them beautiful. So I bought her home when I moved from Minnesota. And so she bought the house across from me. These were areas that were in these very wealthy areas we would do this in. So I started doing that, and I was very successful, very successful. I had over 13 homes. And this is me, no college education, self-trained, learn financially, just really, it showed me what I could do. I wanted to be there for my daughter, Ashley. And the only prerequisite was that I said, well, you have to stay in the same school district. I don't want to have Ashley moving, because if we were moving a lot every 2 years, making these homes beautiful. And then then I started buying other rental properties and understanding that. But it showed me that it doesn't matter whatever I was going to do. Like Dorothy, I had it all in me. It could have been singing, it could have been real estate, whatever. Karyn White was going to succeed. And that's what I said as I was a valedictorian in the 6th grade. In this chain of success, let me be a link. I, Karyn White, will succeed. And so it showed me, it could have been in music. I was driven. You know what I mean? It was just the work ethic was there. So coming back 18 years later.
Wow.
18 years later. Can you believe that? Gone through marriages, you know, discovered who I was, who I wasn't, just became a full-grown woman and fearless. So I'm coming back as a grown woman, you know, at 40 with my own company and you know, doing it on a high level and just preserved, like my voice just became richer. And, you know, as before it was young sounding and it just got fuller and, you know, and then just, you know, when you go through, and I became a person and people say, did people know you? Yeah, some people did, you know, and some people didn't. I didn't care. I didn't care about being famous. It was like I became a person and I would love to just talk to people and, you know, be like, oh, you're so down to earth. So I really love what it did to me. It made me human. Because you got to think that's all I knew. They called me Karyn White in elementary school. I was the track star. I was the girl with the long hair down her back. I was, you know, the talent shows. I was the pageants, all of that. But this, it made me, I don't know. I mean, I love that that's why when I get on stage, I just connect with people because I am you. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, and I am that Superwoman. We have to, you know, I kept stretching and reaching and growing and shaping myself. And when I didn't know it, you know, and lost my way, and I get it. You know what I mean? I am you. So it's just beautiful to see this starting over for me. You know what I mean? And people starting to remember and me getting more shows. But people think it's not easy because I left a legacy. And it's like promoters, it's been 18 years. So it's like, wow, you know, what does she look like? What does she sound like? You know what I mean? And can she still deliver? And so it's just been, and I've been up to the challenge. And it's like, I'm tough now. Now, before I wasn't tough, because if I was tough, I wouldn't have left. You get what I'm saying? I wouldn't have let nothing pull me away from my heart's desire. But I did, but not no more. So it's, you know, the race isn't given to the swift, won by the swift, but he who endures to the end. And that's where I'm at. I'm coming back with so much fire, so much heat, so much love. What can you do with that? You understand? I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And when you have that working for you and God, it's like, it's your purpose to do this, Karyn. And I'm doing it and I'm grateful. So thank you. Thank you for having me. And I hope I was able to shed a little bit of my story. And for you people out there that don't think you can do it, you know, you got to see I left it, you know, so I'm coming back and, you know, thank you for believing in me and supporting me. And the best is yet to come.
Yes, definitely. But Gale and the Storm, your movie, how much of that tells a story, what you've just shared today? How much of that's 2017?
Wow, Gale and the Storm. Yeah, it's loosely based on my life, about an R&B singer who loses her way, gets out of the business, and she fell out of love with music. And so she hooks up with a revolutionary music producer, J.P. That was my manager. That's his side of the, you know, he's the character in that. And
so Derek plays J. King.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Derek plays J. King's, and how he, you know, really had to get me back into this business. And once I did, it was like, what the hell? So yeah, so this it's loosely based on my life, you guys. This is called Gale and the Storm. We're going to change the title to I Am the Storm, and we're repackaging it. But you can see it right now before we do send it out to get it on Amazon and all these other platforms. You can go, where is it at? KarynWhite.me? GaleandTheStorm.com. Oh, GaleandTheStorm.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so you go to that, you'll check it out. And in the soundtrack is smoking.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I love the soundtrack. A lot of jazz. Yes, I heard the soundtrack.
You hear the 70s? Do you hear that
Yeah,
70s?
love the song. I love Sister Sister as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
sister. Yeah. So this is you guys, if you like funk and if you like got a little bit of Rick James, a little Parliament, Tina Marie, Al Green, Shaka Khan, my rendition versions of that. So it's a dope soundtrack. And I produced it, executive produced it, and co-starred it and co-wrote it. And that was so liberating too. That's the fearlessness I was talking about. I came back and I started acting. I was also in a movie on a sitcom called what was it called? I can't even remember. Beauty and the Baller. I had a role in that. So I would started acting, and acting opened me up too. Oh my God, because it's like acting, you have to bare your soul. You go in these classes and they're like, okay, you have to tell them like, okay, like they'll ask you like, where are you pulling from when you're saying that? Like, and you have to say like, well, okay, my divorce and you're sharing your whole everything in front of the class. And it's like, well, I don't believe you, confess it. And so acting just opened me up. And it's like, it's the greatest thing taking these lessons, because it made me so that's when I'm on stage. I don't know what I'm going to do. I usually always jumping in the audience, sitting down. Come in here. Break it down, band. Hey, sister, let me tell you why I love you. You know what I mean? It just, I'm so grateful for, like I said, this what acting does for you. Because and then also I was going to these auditions, right? And I would get some of them, but most of them I didn't get. And it was humiliating. And you just had to, you just keep going, and it's like, they didn't care that I was Karyn White. It's like, are you the character? You know what I mean? So I'm glad I had all of that training. And then Derek and I got fed up and we said, we're in the independent world. We don't need to have anybody give us a deal to make a movie. Let's make our own. And so we got 2 students from Morehouse that had won awards here in Atlanta. We had a $5,000 budget.
Wow.
Yeah, and Jay King had Sacramento on lock.
Yeah.
We had all of these different locations, and the same time we did the movie, we were doing the soundtrack. So when you see me in the studio with DOA, that was really happening, and I was going in there singing in one takes because we didn't have a budget. I didn't have time. Like facing them, I would be. I feel like changing the melody. Let's try coming in 5 times on the same song. None of that. This was like, you got one time to get this song. And so we did that, and doing a movie, man, it's like, who doesn't want to do that? That was liberating. Once I did that, I was like, oh man, I can do anything. You know what I mean? Even though it's an indie small film, it's the concept of that. A lot of people, stars never put out movies. You get what I'm saying? You have all these actors that are great, that have tons of money. I'm like, why don't they do their own projects? So that's what Derek and he brings to my life. And I call him the alchemist. He's late getting into the game. So, his passion, is just a beautiful passion, because he's older and he has that wisdom, and it's like, okay, we got to do it. And, and he's any of you artists out there that he's like my life coach. So he played a big part in, and just having me believe in myself too. You're Karyn White. You're Karyn mother effing White. Karyn White. Oh yeah. Karyn White. But people don't know. They think, we have all this confidence, you know what I mean? But coming back, it's just, I had to believe, you know what I mean? And when you have your purpose right and you're not coming back for ego, when you come back for love and not power, there's nothing you can't do, because people can feel that, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay, well, Karyn, before I leave, I always ask my guests that if you were stuck in an elevator and you had to watch a movie, what would your favorite movie be to this pass away time?
The Godfather.
Oh, The Godfather. Okay. Donnie Simpson
Girl
loves The
is
Godfather.
The Godfather. Yeah, that's probably it. I'm so funny. I'll be playing the dang on soundtrack in the house while I'm cleaning. Like, is that The Godfather? Yep.
Oh, good.
Oh,
I know
Thank you so
what's your
much.
all-time favorite song by any artist?
Oh my God, don't you do that. I can't even think of my all-time favorite song. Jeez, I don't know. That's too hard. So okay, I'll give it to Stevie Wonder. I'll give some it's Stevie. I don't know which one, but Stevie. We'll just say Stevie Wonder.
Okay,
There's
okay. So
so much to pick from. You know, would you say I know the anything on the dang on Keys to Life? Man, I think
okay. I mean, mine is "Lady in My Life" by Michael Jackson. I mean,
oh
everyone
yeah,
has that.
I know. And yeah, that dang on Michael song. I mean, it's so much. It's so much. We're so blessed, right? We have such great music, right? And these
Yeah.
whew, man, I'm just thankful to have grew up in the time frame of to appreciate these artists.
So just as we leave, what should we expect 2023? Any
2020.
tours, new music, or anything? What should we expect?
Yeah, definitely want to do some new music. More touring for sure. Movies, because we're hooking up with some great people out here in Atlanta. But I'm gonna do it on my way, my terms. You know, more duets. Just being fearless and being grateful and thankful and just living life. Really, just you know what I mean? Like I get to do this every day. I get to sing for a living. I get to make people laugh and make them cry and make them feel good and make them reminisce. So really just honoring that space and every day just waking up that thankful that I get to do this. So
Yeah, and I
that's what
love the fact that you have your dancers with you, and they have to keep up with you because you know that's
look, they're so funny too. They're I think I'm 30, so ageless. We're ageless around here. I tell them we're rock stars forever. You know how Tina and who else our boys do it. You know David Boy and them. They did Rolling Stones. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We're gonna
yeah,
do this until I can't do it.
yeah. Well, I have to give a shout out to my friend Wanda Troy,
Oh
who's a
yes. I saw your Wonder Troy videos. That was so cute. He can tell some stories, can't he? I was like, Wonder Troy can go. Yeah, he's such a great supporter, and we're thankful. All those artists that he's such a beautiful spirit, and just so the time he puts into his videos to say happy birthday, him and Bow-Legged Lou, some of the most beautiful spirits you ever want to meet. And I'm like, I'm just glad he's a big Karyn White supporter, Wonder Choice, like the Caramel Goddess.
yeah.
So shout out to Wonder Troy.
Yeah, well, it's about midnight here, and
All right,
I've got clinic in the morning, so I
I got 2 more interviews. This is my interview day.
oh,
So
it
thank
is.
you so much, and you have a good one. And I look forward. Let me know when you're gonna put it out because I want to help you promote it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll liaise with Derek when I'm doing so. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe and turn on your notification. But better still, check out our membership where you can get to watch these videos from day one, as well as our monthly meetings when we get to meet up and talk with myself and the rest of the people who are members, but also some exclusive interviews, which I don't get to broadcast. But thanks for watching and hope to see you soon.